In Stoic philosophy, we confront realities directly, avoiding the comfort of illusions. We don't rationalize deliberate betrayals as mere accidents or misunderstandings. Instead, we acknowledge them for what they are. Certain betrayals are so profound that forgiving them would compromise our dignity, peace, and self-respect, an approach that is far from Stoic principles. Marcus Aurelius stated, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed." It is the person who continues in his self-deception and ignorance who is harmed. However, when someone consciously chooses to betray us, they reveal their true character. The Stoic response isn't to retaliate, but to accept this reality, recognizing that some boundaries, once crossed, cannot be re-established. Goodreads. I've realized that certain doors should remain closed permanently. Closure doesn't necessitate reconciliation. It involves choosing peace over turmoil and truth over illusion. While forgiveness is often seen as a virtue, it shouldn't come at the expense of our well-being. A Stoic understands the importance of releasing what lies beyond their control, including the actions of those who have caused harm. Letting go doesn't imply allowing them back into our lives. It means safeguarding our tranquility with firm, unwavering boundaries. Consider the case of David, a man in his early 50s who held loyalty as a sacred principle. He shared a 2-decade-long friendship with someone he regarded as a brother. They experienced life's milestones together, from raising children to celebrating holidays. However, David uncovered that his friend had been systematically undermining him, spreading falsehoods to mutual acquaintances to tarnish his reputation for personal gain. This betrayal wasn't accidental but intentional and concealed under the guise of friendship. When confronted, the friend offered excuses, citing stress and miscommunication, but the deliberate nature of his actions was undeniable. This choice illuminated his true character. If you find value in what we're discussing here, a simple free way to support us is to hit that subscribe button. And don't skip any part of the video. Each piece of information could be the key to unlocking deeper insights into human nature and your personal peace of mind today. Loyalty is not a superficial ideal, but the bedrock of all meaningful relationships. Without it, trust disintegrates, security evaporates, and once solid connections become hollow. When someone we trust chooses disloyalty, it's not a mere lapse in judgment, but a conscious decision to prioritize their interests over their commitment to us. Whether it's a partner's infidelity, a business associate embezzling funds, or a sibling's deceit for personal advantage, these are calculated actions that betray the relationship's foundation. The Stoics had profound insights into human nature. Marcus Aurelius observed, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." When betrayed, the instinct might be to retaliate, but Stoicism teaches a more powerful response. We cannot control others' actions, only what we accept from them. The most potent reaction to betrayal is not vengeance but removal, a quiet withdrawal without drama, acknowledging their true nature and refusing to compromise our standards. Often, those who betray and then apologize are not remorseful for their actions, but regret being exposed. Their excuses may seem sincere, but it's essential to discern whether their regret stems from genuine empathy or self-interest. A person who betrays once without genuine change is likely to repeat their behavior. Forgiving repeated disloyalty doesn't signify nobility. It signals a willingness to endure harm to maintain a facade of peace, which is, in reality, self-betrayal. David grappled with this dilemma, yearning to believe in the friendship he thought existed. Eventually, he recognized that clinging to someone who had betrayed him wasn't an act of loyalty, but of fear of solitude and starting anew. Upon accepting the truth, he discovered an unexpected sense of peace, realizing that the absence of someone who disrespected his trust was preferable to the presence of a pretender. Stoicism urges us to accept reality, even when painful, emphasizing that standing alone in truth is better than being surrounded by insincere loyalty. Seneca advised, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." This doesn't imply seeking perfect individuals, but aligning with those who are honest and steadfast, regardless of circumstances. Lib quotes, +1. Goodreads +1. Psychologically, betrayal not only damages our trust in others, but also in ourselves, leading us to question our judgment and self-worth. Recognizing this impact is crucial in healing and re-establishing trust in our perceptions and decisions. That's why walking away from betrayal isn't really about lies are never isolated, they form patterns. And every lie is more than withheld truth. It's an attempt to control your perception, to dictate what version of reality you're allowed to live in. That's the real betrayal, not just hiding facts, but shaping your world for their benefit. Modern psychology confirms this. Deception is almost always about control. People lie to avoid consequences, gain leverage, or protect a fragile ego. But beneath that manipulation is usually fear, insecurity masked as confidence. Still, understanding this doesn't mean excusing it. Compassion doesn't mean compliance. Some will argue that everyone lies, that white lies are harmless, that it's just human nature. But the Stoic mindset doesn't accept that kind of moral laziness. Marcus Aurelius said it clearly. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. That's the standard, not just for others, but for ourselves. When someone lies to you, whether it's a partner covering infidelity, a friend distorting the truth for their own gain, or a co-worker rewriting history to get ahead, you have every right to walk away. Not out of anger, out of respect for reality, because when truth is gone, the relationship is already broken. And Stoicism reminds us, peace begins where illusion ends. The Stoic response is unwavering. Don't plead for honesty from someone who has already shown they prefer lies. Don't chase closure from someone who thrives in avoidance. What's been revealed is enough. Accept it and then walk away, not with fury, but with clarity. It's not about punishing them. It's about protecting your peace. When someone lies to you, they tear a hole in the fabric of trust. Trying to restore that trust without consequence tells them your standards are flexible. That truth is optional in your world. That's not forgiveness. It's abandoning your own values. And in the end, it's a form of self-betrayal far more damaging than anything they did. Yes, walking away can feel like a loss. There's grief in detaching from someone you once believed in. But staying, continuing to engage with someone who's shown no respect for truth, costs much more. You pay for it in anxiety, in sleepless nights, in the quiet erosion of your own self-respect. Every time they speak, you'll wonder, is this real, or just another lie dressed in charm? Epictetus once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." That's the liar's curse. They believe their version of events is justified, that they're still the hero in the story, even as they distort reality. You can't reason with someone who's that deeply entrenched in their own illusions, and it's not your job to fix them. The Stoic way isn't about changing others, it's about drawing the line that protects your integrity, walking away, not with resentment, but with wisdom. Because once trust is gone, there's nothing left to salvage, and what you build next should stand on truth, not illusions. 3. Broken trust. The damage that doesn't heal. Trust is more than believing someone's words. It's about feeling safe, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, with someone. It's letting them see who you really are, unguarded. When that sacred trust is broken, it doesn't just hurt. It reshapes how you see the world. It dismantles everything you thought was solid, leaving behind confusion, emptiness, and the echo of what used to be. There's a lesson in betrayal that many learn the hard way. Some breaks are final. Some betrayals are so deep, so deliberate that no amount of apology or time can fix them. Not because you're unforgiving, but because the foundation is gone. Think of someone like Lance Armstrong. once a symbol of perseverance and strength, a hero to millions. But when the truth about his deceit came out, it wasn't just about sports, it was personal. People had placed their belief, their admiration, their trust in him. And when that trust was shattered, it didn't matter how many apologies followed, the damage was already done. That's what many fail to understand. When someone breaks your trust, they don't just make a mistake. They show you who they truly are. They show you that their loyalty was conditional, that their values weren't what they claimed, and that realization is often irreversible. We all want to believe in redemption, that someone who's hurt us can change, that with enough time or effort, things can go back to how they once were. But deep down, we know that's not how trust works. Once broken, it doesn't return to its original shape. It stays cracked, fragile, uncertain. And every interaction after that is haunted by the question, will they do it again? Stoicism doesn't ask you to live in denial. It calls you to see clearly, even when the truth is painful. Marcus Aurelius reminded us not to dwell on what others have done, but to ask, what is the right action for me now? And often, the right action is to protect your peace, to withdraw, not out of mal. You start questioning not just them, but yourself, your judgment, your instincts, and that internal erosion is far more dangerous than any external loss, because once you stop trusting yourself, you become vulnerable to more deception, more pain. The Stoic answer is simple, but not easy. Walk away when trust is broken beyond repair. You don't need to hate them. You don't even need to make them understand. All you need is the courage to move forward and to build something new, not on apologies and wishful thinking, but on truth and integrity. Because no relationship, no matter how long or meaningful it once felt, is worth sacrificing your peace. And no person, no matter how charming or remorseful they seem, is worth the slow decay of your self-trust. Let them go, and let that be the beginning of something better. You have to believe them. When someone shows you who they are through betrayal, you're not meant to reinterpret it or explain it away, you're meant to accept it. Seneca said, "He who spares the guilty punishes the innocent." When you forgive someone who has consciously violated your trust, you're not offering grace, you're sacrificing yourself, you're betraying your own instincts, dismissing the part of you that knew better but hoped differently. Keeping them in your life after that kind of betrayal sends a dangerous message, not just to them, but to yourself. You're saying that your boundaries are flexible, your standards negotiable. You're telling yourself that your pain is a price worth paying to maintain a connection that was hollow all along. That's not kindness, that's self-abandonment. Some will say forgiveness is strength, that we should always offer second chances. But Stoicism never called for blind, unconditional forgiveness. It demands wisdom, discernment. Forgiveness is only virtuous when it's given to those who erred and are sincerely committed to growth. But when it's handed out to someone who chose to deceive you, who violated your trust without remorse, it's not compassion, it's weakness dressed as virtue. And let's not pretend this is easy. Cutting ties with someone you once trusted can feel like losing a part of yourself, but it's far more destructive to keep someone around who chips away at your peace, your dignity, your sense of self. The most powerful move you can make when trust is broken is to face the truth, clearly without distortion, and walk forward without them. Here's the truth. If they truly valued you, they never would have betrayed you in the first place. Loyalty isn't proven by apologies after the damage is done. It's shown in the choices they make before they think you'll ever find out. And every moment you spend waiting for them to change is time taken from your own healing, your own evolution. Stoicism calls us to live in harmony with reality, not fantasy. And the reality is, not everyone deserves a second chance. Not every apology needs to be accepted. You don't need to be cruel. You don't need to retaliate. But you do need to protect your peace. You walk away, not as punishment to them, but as an act of loyalty to yourself. Trust once broken with in knot should never be restored blindly. You may wish them well from a distance. You may speak to them with civility, but they no longer get to stand in the inner circle. They've shown they can't be trusted with it, and nothing, not guilt, not history, not apology, changes that. Because betrayal is not just about what they did, it's about what you do next. You either repeat the pattern or you rise above it. And no Stoic tolerates betrayal when it means forfeiting their own self-respect. 4. Betrayal of vulnerability, when intimacy is turned into a weapon. There's a type of betrayal that cuts deeper than any lie or disloyal act. It doesn't happen with one big moment. It builds quietly in the silence of trust. It happens when you let someone into your heart, into the rooms of your soul you rarely open. You share your fears, your scars, your most private truths, and for a while they seem to hold that space with care, until they don't. Until one day those very things you confided become their weapons. They throw your insecurities back at you in arguments. They twist your honesty to control, belittle, or shame you. And in doing so, they destroy something sacred. This isn't just a fight. It's not a lapse in judgment. It's the betrayal of the core of intimacy. The belief that you are safe with someone. I've seen it happen. I've lived it. I once knew someone who opened up to a partner about childhood pain, deep wounds, traumas they'd never spoken aloud before, and at first that vulnerability was met with compassion. But as the relationship deteriorated, that same information was thrown at them like knives, in arguments, in front of others, used to wound, to dominate, to win. That is not love, that is not weakness, that is abuse. When someone weaponizes your vulnerability, they reveal something undeniable. They never deserved your trust. They saw your openness not as a gift, but as leverage, and no apology undoes that. The Stoics were clear. You control your boundaries, not their behaviour. Epictetus taught us that our inner world is sacred, that not everyone deserves access to it. When someone turns your vulnerability against you, they forfeit their place in your life. Full stop. You don't hand the map to your soul back to someone who already used it to burn the village down. Forgiveness in this context doesn't mean re-entry, it means release. You let go, but you do not re-invite. Because trust isn't just about believing someone's words, it's about knowing they will protect your heart even when they're hurting. And if someone chooses to weaponize your truth, they've shown you everything you need to know. Walk away, not with bitterness, but with clarity. And never forget, peace is not found in avoiding confrontation. It's found in refusing to betray yourself again for someone who already has, knowing full well they'll use it against you the moment it benefits them. That's what makes this kind of betrayal so brutal. It's not just a breach of trust, it's a violation of intimacy, and psychologically it cuts deeper than most wounds because it strikes at something sacred, our longing to be truly seen and accepted. We all crave connection. We want to believe we can show someone our scars, our shadows, and still be embraced. So when someone turns your vulnerability into ammunition, it doesn't just end a relationship, it fractures your entire sense of safety in the world. And that is not something you should ever endure a second time. But Stoic philosophy doesn't teach us to lash out or live in resentment. It teaches us to see clearly, to recognize the truth of who someone is, and act accordingly. No need for revenge, no need to plead for closure. The strongest move isn't to confront or fix, it's to step away, to choose clarity over chaos, self-respect over self-sacrifice. If someone has already used your vulnerability as a weapon once, believe they'll do it again, not because you are unworthy of trust, but because they are unworthy of holding it. And in a life built on integrity, on self-respect, on inner stillness, there is simply no space for that kind of person. Some things can be forgiven, but not this. Never forgive the betrayal of your vulnerability. Forgive yourself for trusting the wrong person, then move on. Protect your peace like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. So tell me in the comments which of these signs have you been seeing in your life, and if you're ready to step into your best self, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Your future is waiting now. Go claim it.